All right, hey, how you doing? I'm here with my buddy Phil Pointer. Phil, did you want to list off any socials or anything like that?
I'm basically Phil Pointer on everything. So Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of that. You'll just see me there, Phil Pointer.
All right, so for those that don't know, I'm just going to ask Phil the same 5 questions I ask everybody. The first of which being, so how did your first show go? You know what I'm saying? Like your first real, what you consider like this is my real show. This is what I'm doing. Like, how did that one go for you?
So I just want to make sure I'm understanding. We're talking book shows, not just open mic.
It can be an open mic. It can be a book show. It doesn't have to be any. It could be like a backyard show that you were like, "Yo, this was my first time that I really got into it."
Now, so my very first. Okay, so the long version of how I started comedy is the first time I did an open mic at all was like '03, '04, and I was living in Montgomery, Alabama at the time, even though I'm from Cincy. I was just trying to do something with my life, started writing jokes, and went and tried this open mic. And it went as good as an open mic can go that had the two people running the mic there and like three or four comedians from Birmingham and one other comic from Montgomery that had brought his wife, who was a pastor. So the fact of the matter is that it went as well as that was, especially since at the time I've been doing socially conscious jokes my whole time, like about race, about religion, about everything. So, and at the time I did have a joke where um, I was living in Alabama at the time when there was a Judge Roy Moore was on the Alabama Supreme Court. There was the monument to the Ten Commandments on the outside of the building, and he was told by the federal government to remove it for separation of church and state, and he refused, and actually got removed from the. And I told a joke about how jokes are like Legos; you can switch them out and make them whatever you want. Like I even took a few sets home, made a life-size donkey, shoved a cross up its ass. Judge Roy Moore. Like I did that joke, and he actually had a sense of humor about it, so I was happy about that. But I mean, we're talking about like 6 people in the crowd, 5 of them are comics. So
Well, with that setup, with that scenario set up, I have to ask you the next question. What drove you to want to get up on stage and perform comedy? Then because I mean that sounds like it was a fun scenario for like a first person, like to kind of go in there and really do it.
I mean, the fact is that I was at a point in my life where I didn't like the job I was doing. I wasn't going to school anymore. I was living in Alabama. I was like, well, I want to buy a notebook and start writing down ideas, see what I want to do next in my life. I used to rap when I was in high school, so I was like, oh, let me see if I can get back into writing raps. I started writing more jokes than raps. I had already had stage performance experience from when I was younger because I was in an actual rap group when I was younger, and my mom had me doing a lot of community service stuff where I had to speak in public and shit. So it was just like I've always loved stand up. I've always. Oh yeah, oh yeah,
Go do this for your aunt and show
yeah.
her what you can do.
Hey, that too. So, but it's something I've always loved comedy, so I just decided what the hell.
Uh, what has been your highest point or like your happiest moment in comedy? And also, if you want to talk about it, what could have been like your lowest or like your most embarrassing time? If you want to share that, you don't have to, man. I'm not trying to go that deep with it, but it's just in case.
Okay, so at this point, I'm like, I'm at that I want more stage. So it's like I just recently got selected to do Limestone Comedy Festival in Bloomington.
Dude, congratulations on
Thank
that.
you. Yeah, no, I did the festival. I did the festival, and it was so much fun.
Dude, yeah,
So that for me was huge.
yeah, that's a
Um,
milestone. Festivals are awesome.
oh yeah, especially that one. So, I mean, the fact is that I was able to get that, and that's like been one of my biggest accomplishments to date. But I got other stuff coming, so I'm hoping that the accomplishments just keep getting bigger. Um, as far as lowest point, Let me think.
I have a couple myself. Like I kind of went in depth with mine.
The lowest point for me was I had been doing comedy for a little while, and my family asked me to do comedy for a family gathering. Oh, I gotta go up because I'm next.
That's about how it happens. You guys will finish this in a minute. All right. I am here with Connor Lochran. What up? We're obviously outside. So, first and foremost, man, how did your first show go? And like by your first show, I mean like your very first like real what you consider like holy shit, I'm doing this is like a real comedy show. Like how did that go for you?
The first one was actually this. I was still an open micer, but the first real room I played to was when Josh Wolf, little name drop for you, came to the Funny Bone, and I was working the door there. He did a thing where he did a cover of Hallelujah, the song Hallelujah on guitar. Yeah. His cover was I'd Still Do Ya. And he said to the audience at the end of the show, he's like, if you guys, I'm going to be back next year. If you guys want to write a verse to this, I'd love to have any of you on stage to do this. And between the first and second shows on Friday, I approached him. I was like, hey, man, I wrote a verse. And he was like, all right. And he brought me in the green room to sing over like the thing he was playing. Then he was like, no, I can play. And then I said, no, I can play guitar. Because like I won't undersell it. I'm really good at guitar. And, that's what I've been doing for 14 years. And I picked it up and started playing Hallelujah more intricately than him. And like all the comics in the green room were like, aha! And then it was like, oh shit, hell yeah.
So you outdid like the big dog on that set, like,
I
oh,
did.
what's up? This is just what I do.
No, there was no outdoing because he made it awesome. Like he brought me on stage. I start playing it. He grabs my guitar and cuts me off, and he goes, "I've never heard it make that noise. Stop!" And then, like the whole audience lost it. And it was like the perfect setup to what I was gonna do. Like he set me up so well. And then I sang my little cover of "I'd Still Do Ya," "My Balls Were Blue," yeah, all that stuff. Like I did that whole thing, and it was the first big room I played to, and it went awesome. But that's the first real show. The first mic was a nightmare. I was terrified. I had the mic down on my chest the whole time. Only the front two tables even knew a show was happening. Like no one could hear me in the whole room. It was just tragic.
That was actually I think I'm going to include that on like part of the number three's question, which is what was like your lowest point? That I've been there, dude. That's kind of rough.
It's far from lowest point right there.
What drove you to actually want to get up on stage and to actually perform comedy at all? You know, like what brought you to that point?
I've just always loved all things funny. My dad is, he had me on fucking Young Frankenstein, Blazing Saddles, all these Mel Brooks movies and all this classic stand-up comedy early on. Then I found comedy on Pandora, so I was listening to all these guys and just family. Like my dad and his brothers are the funniest guys I ever met. Just like four Irish idiots, and it's it's hilarious the whole time, and just ball busting all day, and it kind of just sent me in that direction.
Hell yeah. What has been your highest or your happiest moment so far in while you're doing comedy?
That's a good question. God, this is going to be embarrassing and show how unexperienced I am. But at a competition recently, there was like an amateur bracket and a semi-pro bracket, and I signed up at the semi-pro one for Cincinnati's funniest person in Cincinnati. And I had a killer set, and my mom was there, and it was the first time she'd seen me do stand-up comedy. And yeah, I felt really, really good.
To be fair, man, my parents have never come to see me do comedy. Mom and dad and step parents, you've never come to see.
Watching? Go fucking see him. Fuck this.
See, Connor knows I'm funny. I tell jokes. I tell stories about y'all too. Don't you want to know?
That was something I did. They're so Christian, and I made a point to like heinously end on a bit about my penis. Just in front. Like, let's just see how this goes.
All right, Mom, we're going out on the dick.
Yeah, truly, I was like, let's end on the worst, and it went okay.
How influential do you feel your local comedy community or like your friend set of comedians have helped you in your career so far?
Like crazy. Dudes like Blake Hammond, Gabe Kia have just been so sweet to me the entire time, and just good advice. Like Gabe was there like one of my first ever sets, and was really encouraging about the things I had done right, and was frank in the most polite way possible about the things I had done wrong. And so I'm really thankful. The Cincinnati scene, I think, it's gonna historically, I think it will come out to be undervalued. I think there's gonna be some people that come out of this thing that like show like, God damn, there was something going on there.
I agree with that. The Cincinnati community, from what I've noticed, is very open so far. I personally love Cincinnati. I love
but, like,
coming down here, but they're also very.
It's like with a condition.
It's
You
like
better bring
watchdog.
it.
It's like watchdog. Like if you're not minding what you're doing, and if you're not holding up your part, they're like, "Yo, dog, you better lift it up, or
They
we're
want
not
you to bring
gonna."
it. They want to know
Yeah,
you're serious
yeah,
about this, and
yeah.
it's really helpful.
So question number 5: how do you feel on stage? Like, what's your headspace? What is your thought process? You know, like your inner voice or whatever sound like when you're up there in the moment. Like, can you describe that for me?
The main inner voices. This is gonna sound so cheesy and just.
Please tell me it's like don't fuck up.
No, I wish that'd be a more serious inner voice. My inner voice is like positive and lame. It's kind of like it's just a couple things. It's just have fun. Like if it's a mutual experience of fun, I feel like the audience latches onto that and you're like, oh, we're laughing in this room. We feel good. And the other one is fucking make eye contact. Because if something doesn't go awesome, I'll deliver my punchlines into the ground sometimes, and it's like, it doesn't. It make sure it's still a performance, dude. You know what I mean? Like, that's what those are the two inner monologues for the most part.
I have a bonus question. You don't have to answer it if you don't want to. I'll ask it, and if you're like, whatever. What's the hardest part of your personal struggle throughout this whole comedy process of yours?
Breaking up with fellow comedians and then having to see them everywhere. No,
They get so
Too
moody.
real.
They get so moody. It's like, oh my gosh, it's.
real. No, I honestly, and again, this is a thing you'll hear all over the place, and I'm ashamed I'm going straight to the same well, but it is true. Just forcing yourself to write, just like in your free time, just like realizing I have free time. I should sit down, even though there's nothing in my stupid head. Let me just jar it until something happens, and then I think of something maybe funny. Like you just gotta force yourself to write. That can be tough.
Dude, very much appreciated.
course.
Do you want to drop all of your socials and everything like that right now?
Yeah. You can find me at Phil Pointer. No, Conman on Gram on Instagram. The Twitter is the THA_Connor_4, like the Lil Wayne album, The Carter 4. I made it when I was 13. And follow Sweet Action Band on Instagram. That's my band. Good rock and roll.
Awesome. I will add that onto the screen in this general area. Not a problem, man. Just thank you so much. Seriously, much appreciated. Thank you. Hey guys, I'm back with my buddy Phil Pointer here. He actually had to go up in the lineup behind us here, but behind you, I should say. And it was his turn to go up and do comedy. It happens like that sometimes. Let's get back in here, man. What was your highest or happiest moment in comedy,
Oh yeah,
or
that's
your
what we
most
were talking
embarrassing?
about. I was going with because I already said the highest for me was Limestone.
Yeah, that was dope.
The-
That was the
the-
festival.
The lowest for me was I got asked at like a family gathering to do some time, and I mean, at the time I thought I had a good 5 minutes. I had been getting some laughs in different places.
Family's brutal.
Oh, dude, I did these jokes that I thought were so great that had been working left and right, and no laughs the entire time. And at the end, all that happens is that my aunt goes, "Yeah, it's so hard. It's hard to do comedy. It's really tough to be up there." Like
Your
that's
aunt
all-
like straight called you out like, "Oh, this
Oh,
is
no.
hard. We're
Oh,
sorry.
no,
This is
wait.
hard for you."
Look, and she said it, and everybody else agreed immediately. It was just one of those, yeah, no, it's hard.
No,
It's
yeah,
hard
we
to
get it.
get
We
up
love
there.
you. We
It's
love you. Like, that's
just-
the worst though. So when your family's like,
Uh,
you tried, but we love you.
I'd have rather they just kept saying nothing. That'd have been preferable.
My-
Just let me stand up there in total silence.
I've only ever had like a couple cousins. My parents have never came to a show, so I've never had that. I did do a church function, if I may, real quick, and it was really awkward. It was on the spot. I didn't have nothing, and it went over very horribly.
I can dig it. Well, here's the thing. With me, it's like my mother got to see me one time when I was relatively new.
Cool.
But I had a guy just did this took this comedy class, and it was our little graduation show. And at the time, that class made the material that I had then really good. So that helped out. And then my at that same show, it was one of my cousins and my uncle, was my grandmother's brother before he passed away. He got to see me. And then a couple of other my cousins came to see me at Go Bananas one time.
That's dope.
Yeah, and my uncle, my mother's half brother, he's seen me a couple times. So some of my family has seen me, not a lot of them, and
They
none of them
they'd
in a
seen you
while.
actually kill, and they were like, "Oh no, you kill!" And they're just like, "Ah."
Actually, oddly enough, my uncle has seen me bomb super hard. Like my mother's half brother has seen me like totally white, like bomb hard. So
A couple of my friends have seen me bomb hard, and I was like, "Nah, it happens, you guys. Like
yeah,
it happens.
it does.
It happens."
Unfortunately.
All right. So, question 4: how influential was your local comedy community, or like your personal friend set of comedians, in your career so far?
Oh man, look, I say over and over again that I feel extremely fortunate and lucky to be doing comedy in Cincinnati right now. Like we have such a strong scene that is about support. You know, we're looking for everybody to get funny. We're not trying to push each other down and hold each other. We're not crabs in a barrel here, thank goodness. You know, the competition between us is let's see who can be the funniest. You know, so we're focused on comedy. We're not worried about who can kiss the most ass and this, that, and the other.
The other thing, like if I may interject on that, I've noticed personally that in the Cincinnati thing, like when you say like it's like a driven thing, it's not like a I'm better than you driven thing. It's a let's see how far we can push each other, and then if we can get further than that, holy shit type of thing. Like from what I've noticed.
No, I mean that's exactly right. I mean the fact is that we are all basically cheering for each other, and but at the same time, we're all trying to get funnier. So you don't want to be the one in the group that's not getting funnier. You know,
It's me. It's always me. It's always me.
all I'm saying is, whoever it is, you don't want to be that person. So, I mean, the fact is that we are mostly concerned about the comedy, and I think that when you are able to come up in an environment like that, it's very, very good for you as a comedian. Also, there's a pretty decent we don't have a lot of infighting going on. Like we're actually to
It's a lot of love.
to a point we're like a big ass family. You know, we're a family of individuals. We're a family of individual business owners. That's literally what we are. So I mean, it's like we all actually like each other. We all hang out and do stuff together. So this is literally just a big ass community, and we try to be as welcoming as possible. Whenever anybody comes in from out of town, and whenever someone is new to the scene, you know, we try to be welcoming. Now, we are concerned about comedy, so like if you want to do comedy, you're gonna be comfortable around us. If you're serious about comedy, you'll be comfortable around us. If you're not serious about comedy, I mean, you can kick it sometimes. We have some fun sometimes, but inevitably the conversation is probably going to turn to comedy, and people who are serious about it are going to be involved in the conversation. That's just what it is.
That is very true. Um, how do you feel on stage? Like when I ask this, I mean like what's like your headspace? Like I call it like the slip. When I'm in the slip, it's like I'm like the ultimate observer. I can see myself, and I'm also questioning myself. Like, did I just say that? Oh my God, that was dumb. But then also in the same time, I'm in that moment and I'm just saying it. So it's like, but that's how it is. It's almost like I like phase or like kind of black out. Like, how is that for you?
I mean, truth be told, I'm there. Like, I go to open mics so much that I have my material down word for word, so I'm able to pay attention to what's going on in the room. I'm able to put my brain on auto. I'm able to put my mouth on autopilot, and me and my brain can look around and see what kind of reactions are going on, what's happening, see if there's something we can chat on real fast or something like. The best part about it to me is just like not to be nervous, not to think about it too much, just fucking be there and do your thing. That's the best possible way to that's and I mean that's how I do on stage. Like I mean I go on stage, I'm nervous every time I go up. Like that's just how I am. I hope they every time. Yeah, I'm nervous every time I go up, even open mics. But the fact is that once you get into your stride, once you get that first good laugh, once you see they're with you, then it's like, okay, let's have some fun. You know, let's play with them. Let's have because I mean, basically, stand up is a conversation.
Yeah.
It's just the only thing they're allowed to say is ha 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 ha.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they can say more, but sometimes I wish they didn't.
The only thing they're allowed to say is ha 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 ha. What they actually say is a totally different set of. It's a totally different subject.
I have a bonus question for you. You don't have to answer it if you don't want to. You can, but I'll ask it. What's the hardest part of the whole struggle in your personal process to do comedy?
It's always a hard one. There's a lot.
So I
There's a lot of
mean,
hard
like,
things.
what is just the hardest thing for me personally, or what is the hardest thing about stand up?
Just what is like been the hardest thing I guess overall for you, like in just comedy, everything.
I mean, I would say the hardest thing for me is probably one of the hardest things for any comic, and that's figuring out who you are and being able to figure out how to get who you are across to a group of people that have no reason to give a fuck about you at all.
Yeah.
So therefore, I think that's one of the. And see, the thing is with me, is that um, I'm a person that I say I always say I'm cursed with shit to say. So it's like a lot of my comedy is like really that social political type shit,
Yeah.
and people don't want to hear about that shit a lot of times. So
I-
my obstacle is I know I'm funny and I know I can present this shit in a funny way.
Yeah.
So just trying to figure out how to dance that dance.
Your last time I was at a show with you, you did a Juneteenth joke, man, and that was a political joke, and I'm clearly like not black, and I thought that joke was it went over so great, man. Like the way that you delivered it, the way that you so I will second that. Like you have the ability, honestly, Phil, to do political stuff and like deliver it in a way that like multiple facets of people can do it. Not everybody can do that, man. So I can vouch for that, legit. Like that's
I mean, like I said, it's the thing that makes me the most comfortable, and it's the hardest thing to work with because, like I said, there are a lot of people, especially with as divided as things are nowadays, people don't really have a sense of humor about this shit anymore. So for me to be able to craft a joke where I get my point across, but I still make a person who doesn't exactly see eye to eye with me laugh. I mean, that's because that's my job. My job is to be funny. So I just have to get all this other dumb shit out while I'm being funny, and so therefore,
I love that. Yeah, that's the best way ever. Like to put that's perfect.
yeah. I mean, the fact is that and that's what we're all trying to do. So, I mean, that's been my personal hardest part. Is just trying to figure out who I am and how to get it out there.
I don't think I even still know yet, man.
Oh, it's not something you find out quick. It's something that every now and then, what ends up happening is that you don't really find out until not fuck that. On average, you don't really get that fully grasped until you're like about 15, 20 years in. So I'm almost there.
I got a
there.
couple years. I got a
You know
couple
what I'm
years,
saying? I'm getting there.
dude.
I ain't there yet.
Just thank you very very much, man. For real. I've known Phil for pretty much the entire time I've been doing comedy. I think the first time I ever ran into you was at Wiley's in Dayton. So
Probably.
yeah, I think did you you came through my show one time too at the hookah bar thing too.
Uh,
That was forever ago. That's old school. That's old school. That's for editing. That's for me. But thank you, man, so much.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Be awkward for a second, and then. So, hi, I'm with Julie Goodrich here. She is my third comic I'm interviewing tonight. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's hit it.
So, what are some of your social links and stuff, if you would? That way I can list them for you.
Sure. My Instagram is deviledeggs.jpg.
Nice,
I
nice.
just like them. Yeah.
I love deviled eggs. It's the best kind of eggs. Like, it
Yeah.
really is. Or I like also over easy.
I do like over easy. I used to order over hard because I didn't know what I was doing. And it was just like a hockey puck. Yeah.
The yolk is okay.
Yeah.
I remember because it's like snot, but then I'm like, no, wait, it's good. Or you can throw some salt or some
Yeah.
hot sauce on it.
It was a dream. Yeah. Couldn't have it any other way.
Julie, very nice to meet you. This is actually my first time meeting Julie, so this is fun. How did your first show go? Like your very first, like what you would consider your very first real show, where you're like, oh shit, I'm really doing this. I'm doing the thing. Wow.
Yeah. Do you mind if I like say names, or would you rather? Okay.
Name drop all you want.
Yeah. It was Garrett Teitelbaum asked me to do my first show. Great person. But I was really excited. I was honored and like honestly fucking flabbergasted because it hadn't been long. But it went really well. I was a little nervous because I think I had to do 7 minutes, and I had only done, I my mics are like 3 minutes long. I never really fill my time.
It always and you're like, oh man, that's like double. Like,
Right. And I think I went over my set at least 14 times in the mirror, walking around, stuff like that. I'm not someone, and this isn't meant to self-deprecate, but I'm not funny off the cuff. I need to like sit and marinate on what I'm gonna say and how I'm gonna do it.
that's very fair. You're definitely allowed to have a routine and stuff and go into it and do it. It's definitely cool. I do a happy mixture of both, to where I kind of jazz or like do like that, but I also kind of have like I guess a pre-planned destruction list.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. So like I get jealous of people when I see them, and I'm like, God, like you just made something out of that heckler, that thing that didn't go right or something like that. I don't really do that. But I rehearsed the shit out of it. It went well. It was fun.
I don't do
Yeah.
hecklers.
Yeah.
Hecklers, I sidestep them really fast. Like I'm like, I just need to get to the weed store.
Right, exactly. But yeah, not super memorable, just really, like, not memorable because it wasn't good. It was incredible, but it went off without a hitch, and that ruled.
I think you kind of answered the next question a little bit, which is no, it's cool. Yeah, it's how advanced you are, dude. That's good stuff. But it was what drove you to get up there. But I believe you said who led you to get up there.
Well, it was Garrett Teitelbaum who put me on my first, like, actual book show at Chameleon. But the reason I started doing stand-up, I had been around the scene for a couple of years just as a fan, and never really had the intention of going up, but I did too much Molly one weekend. And come Monday, I was incredibly depressed. And I was like, what can I think of to get myself out of this hole?
Molly.
Yeah. Right.
Shrooms work too.
Yeah. It's like, what can I think of to get myself just out of this pit I find myself in? And I wrote 4 jokes that day, went up and told him here at the Hub that night.
That's really dope. This is actually a really cool venue. I'm going to showcase the venue here in a little bit that I've been interviewing around. This is every Monday down in Cincinnati, over the Rhine, the Hub. It's amazing. It's also a music venue. But yeah, I loved it when I first came here.
Yeah, this was like, as a fan, this was an open mic I never missed. It was known to be like best open mic in the city. It was just like the energy was always great. It was a fun place to be.
I think since I started coming here, I've only missed 2 to 3 of them.
Oh, really? Okay,
and
yeah.
That was about like 2 to 3 months ago. So
yeah.
Hell
yeah.
Let me see. What has been your highest point or like your happiest moment, and subsequently, what could also have been like your lowest point or like your most funniest? Like, oh my God, this was embarrassing. And again, you don't have to answer that.
You're fine. Yeah, I'm an open book.
Me too.
Probably my favorite moment was the first time. I've only done Go Bananas twice, but the first time I was asked to be on a show and just do 5 minutes on that show was really meant a lot to me. I was genuinely touched by that because, Bananas was my first exposure to Cincinnati comedy.
It's a really good place to go.
Yeah.
It has a really good vibe. I personally have never been inside, but I heard really good things. I'm waiting. I haven't earned it yet. I'm waiting.
Okay, yeah, I gotcha. Probably my lowest. Like I said, I'm a preparer, right? It's important to me to be able to say things the way I want them and how I want to say it. I was asked to do a guest set, like right when I walked into Chameleon one night, and the crowd. It was, it wasn't a big crowd to begin with, and not to blame them. They're there doing their thing, but I did not do well, and that was difficult to grapple with.
Those are always humbling moments, but those are where you really learn your, your kicks, licks, whatever, like your notes to play and stuff or whatever.
Absolutely.
To keep the jazz going.
Yeah, I was like, you know what, like, I'm not blaming the crowd for this, but if it was funny enough, I could have made 5 people laugh. If it wasn't funny, there's a reason why they're not laughing. So
It is, yeah. It's our job to convey that to the crowd. Yeah, dude, that's legit. That's truth right there. Um, how influential was your local comedy community or your friend set of comedians to your career thus far?
they were everything, honestly. I would never have gone up without the encouragement of just the comics I'd gotten to know from being a fan. Like, it's a really cool and unique thing, I think, when there are comics that want to see more people doing it.
Yeah.
As opposed to thinking, like, I'm better off by keeping this like a tight field and only having a few people to go with. Like, it was very cool to see, like, oh, I want a big pool.
Yeah.
And so I think they were incredibly influential, and they've been influential in keeping me going because I've only been doing comedy since it's been like 8 months, and I've quit and started more times than I can count.
It's like smoking, honestly. It really is. It's like, I'm in, I'm out, and I'm in, I'm out. Nah, you know what? I don't want more puff. Like it's really is.
Absolutely. So, like, anytime I got back into it after a long drought, it was because I ran into someone or I was at a show and they were like, hey, it would be cool to see you back out there. And that meant everything. Yeah.
Also, is that a color changing cup?
It's the color changing cup.
I love this. I steal these from my kids at home, and I drink like shots of tequila and stuff out of them. I'll make screwdrivers.
It's a color changing cup.
Comics. That's how we do. So that's so awesome. I'm so sorry. That's really funny. Little. I just happened to look up and I was like, "Yo, that's dope." So question number 5. How do you feel on stage? Like, what is your headspace or like your thought process while you're up there in your moment? Just up there.
I black out.
Same.
I black the fuck out.
I'm half in, half out.
Okay, yeah. And that's why, like, I think because I do tend to practice, anything that disrupts my, like, black hole that I'm in, I get really, like, thrown off by it.
Yeah.
And I would love to loosen that up a bit, maybe, rather than practicing line by line, just kind of going off a little bit and getting looser with it.
Off the cuff can be hard. Like if you're like doing a routine and you got it, I've done that to where I'm like, oh man, and somebody will say something or something will happen, and I'll completely get out, and I'll like, and it's like the rest of the time I'm riffing, I'm like, why am I here?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. It very much feels like that. So yeah, I don't remember what got the most laughs. I don't remember what got the least laughs. I just completely black out. Yeah.
That's dope. Like, no, I say half in, half out. I do like the slip where it's like I watch myself, but in the moment I'm like that other person. I'm not like, but I also see it from me too. It's weird. It's like the ultimate observer.
Yeah.
It's weird. That's why I do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I also have a bonus question on here. You don't have to answer it if you don't want to again. What's the hardest part of your struggle in the process so far to do comedy?
Sitting down and writing has been the most difficult thing for me.
A lot of people say that.
Yeah, no, like actually committing time. If I think of a concept for something, I'll put it in my notes app on my phone. Actually getting back around to fleshing it out is incredibly difficult for me. Yeah.
When you write it out, it's almost like to me, it's like the same feeling of if somebody were to have gotten into my journal in 5th grade.
Right.
And I go back and I read it, and I'm like, I don't even like that about Johnny. Like Johnny Depp jokes or something. Like.
Oh, you would have to like waterboard my notes app, like of my jokes out of me. Absolutely. Yeah. There is. It is humiliating, but it's what I use. It's, rather than a notebook, I prefer to use my notes app. And I always think about what would happen if my phone were to get like stolen or lost or something like that. And they're just scrolling through like, this bitch isn't funny.
Wait, no. From what I understand, like just from my personal, like, everything, you're pretty hilarious, dude. It does take a certain kind of personality to do comedy and stuff. But like the ultimate goal is to understand, I think, we all have enough pain to make other people laugh.
100%. Yeah.
Dude, thank you so much.
Of course. Great to
Julie Goodrich, again, if you want to, go ahead and say your socials and stuff.
Sure. My Instagram is deviledeggs.jpg. So you can look at it if you want.
Thank you so much, dude.
Thank you. Have a good one.
That was so cool.